So, my first couple weeks at university were pretty crazy. For a bit of context, I'm currently in my third year at uni. Actually graduating in July, so yay! But I met some pretty crazy people in my first year. But first, let me talk about what I'm drawing in the background. This is a poster for my webcomic, Keys of Corruption. In a world where only 1% of the population is born with special powers called keys, distressing things start to happen to Rose Kingsley when her mentor dies. This sets into motion a dangerous chain of events that will change Rose's life forever. The prologue should be out at the end of the month, so follow me for updates. Okay, before I get into this video, I should definitely specify that I'm bisexual, and unfortunately, all of these stories are about men. But at this point, it's kind of funny how bad some of these are, and I've been watching my housemates and friends experience a lot worse, and this entire video basically happened in a singular year. So, we've all kind of sworn off dating at this point. But on to the first guy. Let's call him Johnny. Was someone I'd met in the first week of moving to uni. Ironically, I met two of my current housemates through him, but that's not important right now. I became friends with him and his other housemate in house 3. Let's say 3, and then I lived in house 10, because I don't want to dox myself. But there was one night where one of my housemates and one of Johnny's housemates came over to my house and they were drunk. And they started apologizing and I was like, dude, I don't care as long as you're drinking safely. This was before my fear of vomit was like insane like it is at the moment. But I remember asking them, being like, why are you apologizing? And they replied with, well, Johnny was super mad. And I was like, oh. I then got a text from my friend who also lived with him saying that he was on his way over and he was super mad. And I was just cool, calm and collected and said, okay, well, he's not allowed in the house if he's mad. Because my first thought was to protect the drunk people and I didn't want to deal with an 18-year-old boy's melodrama. Me saying this while I was 19 at the time, but you guys get where I'm coming from with that. He ended up storming off and he was pissed at me ever since. Turns out, he was friends with a few people in my class and was actively shit-talking me behind my back to them, saying that I was leaving like dead things outside of his bedroom door and like pans and stuff. I went to his house once. And secondly, the classmates didn't really believe him because when they interacted with me in class, I was generally quite nice and was definitely a keep the peace kind of person. I didn't really interact with him after that, but I did hear after the two housemates that got drunk started dating, Johnny confessed his love to my housemate. And she was like, what the fuck? And obviously shut him down. And then Johnny went and confessed to another one of my housemates, and she was also like, no. And then he started dating the classmate from before. Turns out he was shit to them, and then he dropped out. Me and my housemates / friends, we all love to laugh about him every now and then, because while he low-key pretty much traumatized everyone, I think I was maybe the only exception to that because he was genuinely scared of me. He admitted that himself, by the way. That's not me saying that. It's funny to look back and go, how the hell do these kind of people exist? Alright, on to guy number 2. Let's name him Aaron. And Aaron was kind of happening at the same time as Johnny. Another thing to add, because I forgot earlier, I'm gender fluid. At that point in time, I'd known for about 6 months. So I was very straight passing. Thankfully, I'm not anymore. I've got a mullet. But Aaron was very much a gym bro. He didn't have much of a personality other than his muscles, but I do remember hugging him once. And it was like falling onto a pillow after a long day. That was a bit weird. I'm so sorry. I'm moving on. This little section of Aaron is a bit wild because I was in the dark for a lot of what he was doing outside of interacting with me. I don't remember when we started talking exactly, but I remember him making a joke about trying to find a friends with benefits, and I said, haha, same. And then we high-fived. Honestly, I was never really into that. I'm terrified of intimacy, but that must have been where it started. I will admit, I was physically attracted to the guy. His personality? Gym and guitar. I do remember him playing me Seven Nation Army once, and I was very impressed by that. And then I watched the Barbie movie, and it was like I got shot in the chest. I genuinely don't think this went on for longer than 2 weeks, and that I stopped talking to the guy. I genuinely shared polite smiles with him and had friendly talk, but that was about it. Aaron wasn't my neighbor by any means, but I did live on the end of a row, and he was on the road that faced the side of my house. So basically we had to see him no matter where he went. There was about 2 months later when I found out he was in an on and off relationship with someone else. Turns out it had been going on since the first week we moved in, aka when he was also talking to me. Now, I was very distraught. Not because I liked him, because I hated the idea that I might have been a homewrecker. One of the girl's housemates told me this, and then when I asked her, well, when was this happening? The specific time that he was talking to me, they weren't talking. They were on the off of their relationship. But to clarify the story, and because I wanted to kind of catch him in a lie, I asked Aaron, and he denied it. So I just permanently stopped talking to him after that. About 2 weeks after me finding out, I met the girl, and she was like the sweetest person I'd ever met. We didn't mention this entire situation at all, but there was definitely some kind of awkwardness where it was like, yeah, we both know that that dude's an asshole, but we really do not want to bring it up. I really don't remember seeing either of them around for the rest of the year. I think she may have moved back home, and I didn't interact with Aaron until maybe April 2023. And that was not my fault, by the way. I tried to keep my distance because I didn't want the drama. I was chatting with my friends outside, who are now my housemates, yay! And he just came up to me and was like, I'm bi now. And I did what any good LGBT person would do, and I congratulated him and wished him the best. The only reason I can think of him wanting to come up to me and tell me that was, considering we hadn't talked in months, was because I told him that I was gender fluid and maybe he was lonely and wanted to see if he had another shot. He didn't. I never saw him again because he dropped out. I actually found out during the months I wasn't talking to him that me and this other girl weren't the only ones he did this to. Apparently it had happened on at least 2 or 3 separate occasions. It makes me feel a little bit better, but I just kind of stopped initially trusting men after that. I now am apprehensive whenever a man approaches me and is interested in me. So, thanks Aaron. The third and final guy of this video was a dude named Logan. Logan's a fake name, by the way, just in case that was too casual for anyone to realize. Now, Logan really fucked me up. I remember first meeting Logan on the way back from a combined social with the football and hockey team. This is when my fear of vomit actually became a fear rather than just general uncomfortableness. I had to leave early, and he happened to just leave at the same time as me, and low-key, I thought he was following me home until he called out to me. He said he was part of the hockey team and introduced himself because he hadn't seen me all night. We had a nice chat, and when we parted ways, I forgot his name. And I kept seeing him around because his hockey training was at the same time as my football training. He worked behind the bar on nights out too, so I just saw him around. It wasn't until after a social night out where I realized I could find his name again on sport team social medias. So I did, and I followed him, and thank God he remembered me. And we got to talking. We went on a date, we went bowling. I lost horribly. I blame the carpal tunnel, by the way. And we were starting to arrange a second date until he got offered a placement year halfway up the country. I really should have fought more for a long distance relationship because they don't really bother me if I'm willing to put the effort in as much as the other person is. But I didn't push, and we decided to just be friends. And if it got to our 3rd year and we were both single, then we'd try. So we still chatted, and we chatted all the way into through the summer and into my 2nd year in his placement. Until one morning, I think it's around October, he sent me an A4 long paragraph of a message detailing how he had been thinking for a while and how he wants to move on with his life and that I'm holding him back. And the message ended with, I don't want to pursue a friendship with you anymore. It was 10 a.m. I was in the self-service till at Sainsbury's. Dog! You want to know what this was in a response to? I asked if he wanted to watch Lord of the Rings with me. I actually didn't tell my housemates until about a month later, and they all clowned the hell out of that man. And it made me feel better about the whole thing. But I will admit, it took me a while to get over him, because it's the first time I'd ever been close to a proper relationship. I'm over him now, by the way. Don't worry about it. But the I don't want to pursue a friendship with you anymore has become a legendary inside joke amongst us, and I am now sharing that with my audience. Please, can we make this a long-lasting joke? It will be so funny. And so, this has been the end of my stories. I hope they were enjoyable. I had fun looking back at the crazy people I've met in my life and be like, damn, you picked him? Okay. Comment below if you've had any weird interactions with men or just anyone you've dated in general over the years. I'd love to hear them. You know what? This is a challenge. Try and up me on mine. Follow me on my socials for webcomic updates, and I'll see you on the next video.